Anthony Down Air podcast. On this episode, we got Marlins, we've got aliens, and we've got assholes. And we've got J Sabs here with us. How you doing, J Sabs?
Which one of those am I?
All three,
Probably
my friend. All three.
an asshole.
So all is quiet with Ghislaine Maxwell right now. The latest there is her defense attorneys are trying to get them to not release any nudity, any public nudity photos or anything like that, not put that into the public. So as we await to see the latest with that, we'll talk about today's big news, which is that the Marlins home opener has been canceled after I think it's up to 14 people in the organization right now have tested positive for COVID-19. So this is definitely what you would consider an outbreak amongst the team. They canceled the home opener for the Marlins, and they also canceled Yanks Phillies because the Marlins were playing the Phillies when this was all going down. So as of right now, just 2 games canceled, but I would imagine that there's
going to be more.
There's going to be a lot more to come from this. Baseball,
Cool.
by the way, is one of, well, there's 2 out of the 4 major sports, 2 of them have decided to go bubble city. That's the NHL and the NBA, which so far have proven to be okay. Also, Major League Soccer has, if you consider that one of the majors, and they're doing okay. We don't know yet about football because they're not going bubble city, obviously. And theirs is the most interesting out of all of this because on a Major League Baseball roster, you've got 25 players. I think it's up to 30 now, and they have more with the minor league guys up there now because of the situation. But in football, you got 53 guys that you just dress alone.
Is it that many?
There's 53 guys that you dress on the for preseason. They usually have 90 guys in camp. They downed it to 80 because they were like 90 is we can't control 90. Let's go to 80, thinking that was going to be better. And now they have like that. And you look at what's happening in baseball, and it's obviously right now in Miami, it's one of the hot spots. Florida is one of the big states, over 400,000 cases. California, New York.
No, they're not up to that many, are they?
New York, California, and Florida, over 400,000 cases. The only 3 states to top that number right now. Yeah, crazy. Isn't that crazy? And it makes sense. Like it kind of, like when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, obviously this makes sense that this popped up with the Marlins and not any other team. But still, I mean, these guys are supposed to be quarantining. They're supposed to be staying in. They're supposed to not be coming in contact with a lot of people. Now, nobody knows what exactly happened. ESPN has the story, and they really haven't filed anything since breaking this news a couple of hours ago. But nobody knows if somebody really broke the rules or if this was more of some sort of a just accidental, whatever.
So the players are not allowed to really like see other people. That's the whole deal.
I think their deal was as long as they, if you go to the ballpark and then you go right home and everybody in your home is staying home, I think you were okay. I think that was their.
That's hard.
That's super hard.
That's hard to do.
That's super hard.
Because, just think of our little situation in our group. Remember that whole thing that sparked a long conversation? Signing letters saying you're not going anyplace.
Yeah.
And that, this is just like a town thing. This is compared to MLB,
Yeah, Janine's referring to in our little group of friends, some friends of ours went to Vegas and then came back. And then while that was in the midst of that, it was deemed that if you came back from these states where there was large cases, you should be self-quarantining. And so one of our friends is quarantining from her husband. And she's doing it because she doesn't want, because the kids are going to some camp thing and she doesn't want that blowing up and getting out of control. But it's by the way, which is why I supported her. It's asinine and difficult, but necessary during these times.
Right.
Like, it's crazy to think like
I totally get it too.
I mean, a husband and wife wouldn't want to, sleep in bed together, but this is what you like. So let's take that premise. Like if they're, if you have somebody's girlfriend or mom or brother who went out to the grocery store just to pick up a couple of things and got it there, brought it back into the house. The house, by the way, still the biggest transmission of the virus, because if you happen to catch it somewhere, you are definitely spreading it to everybody in your house because you're in close proximity and you're not wearing masks and all that.
Actually, I have to interrupt you there.
Go ahead.
Someone I know who's in the hospital over 100 days now. His wife or kids did not get the virus, and he was with them. So there's cases like this, but I agree, the house thing is the biggest transmitter.
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying, and and it's funny because I know somebody whose wife was a nurse, and she went through it all, didn't catch it at all. He didn't have it. She didn't catch it. She took all the she was masked up in PPE every day and took all her precautions. And I mean, most of the medical field, they all actually turned out okay because they were all taking those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sterilizing their hands and like that's second nature to them. They know what they're doing when it comes to that stuff.
Right.
But then you also have the people that don't really believe this is a thing, and they're like, whatever, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and this is what's going to happen. That's why,
Right.
I keep saying it's funny because people will yell at Trump and people will yell at Cuomo and Fauci, and that's all fine and good, and you can blame all your problems on these people, but this thing is still out there and could care less who's in charge and who's not in charge. They're doing the best they can, putting guidelines in place to hope to stop this thing. That's all that. And when you look at,
I think it's crazy that people are still getting it, now.
It's nuts,
right?
It's nuts. Yeah, it's weird that we went through this horrific thing in New York where we were losing 800 people a day dying, and we're able to get it under control, only to watch it flare up in the rest of the country is like kind of absurd.
It's crazy because you know what? Everyone thinks it's not going to happen to me.
That's what we all love to think. It's not going to happen to me.
Actually, I just told Gaetano that yesterday. I'm like, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to get it.
Or it's not in our. How many times you hear, hurricane or monsoon or this horrific thing, and then you check, you read it, you click on it. I was at Wisconsin. Oh, okay. And you just move on. You're like,
Not gonna happen to me.
It's not in my neighborhood, man. I'm good. I'm fine. No big deal. It's human nature. It's like kind of the way we are. But Major League Baseball has been awful at all. I mean, they were, by the way, first sport to say, hey, let's go to Bubble City. They were the first one. I remember talking about this on the radio and people calling me up going, that's insane. You can't get 30 teams into one city to play games. And I was like, I don't know. It kind of makes sense. And then shortly after, the NBA and the NHL announced the same plans. And then why Major League Baseball abandoned it, I don't know, other than the fact that Rob Manfred is the biggest idiot in sports today.
So the Yankees are all, all the teams are playing in New York?
No, they're all playing in their home.
Oh, in their, okay.
Ballparks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rob Manfred, the commissioner, is the biggest idiot out of all of them because he's just been like every step of the way, he's just been awful in negotiating the contract and trying to get the games together and, doing all this stuff. It's been one embarrassing failure after the next. And now we're here and I'm not really surprised. Really surprised.
And it's just going to happen again.
And by the way, his plan of everybody when the thing with Bubble City is the NHL is in two cities. They're in Edmonton and they're in Toronto.
Okay.
The NBA is entirely in Orlando. They're on Disney property. Mm-hmm. The thing with that is you have a lot more control over it. It's just a control thing. When you're in 30 different cities, you have no control over any of this. And all these guys are flying private. They're all taking these precautions in the clubhouse, which, by the way, we were told there's going to be no high-fiving and no, chewing gum or spitting seeds or anything like that. I think for the most part, they're sticking by the seed thing. But the Mets, I was watching the Mets the other day. Cespedes hit a home run. He came into the dugout. They were all over him. His teammates were all over him.
Right.
It's like, I know it's weird and awkward and everything, but again, these are things that you put in place because this shit can happen. Now, what happens if the Marlins, I think it's 14 people. From what I understand, it's like 11 players. So they can replace 11 players. That's easy because you got the minor leagues at your
Right.
disposal. So you can bring in minor league players and fill in the gaps. They'll be terrible, but it's the Marlins, so it's like whatever. But if it's more than that, and you're at a point where you're missing out on a whole team, what are you gonna
Yeah, that's a different story.
what are you gonna
Right.
do? You're just gonna that team's gonna forfeit out. They're gonna miss 2 weeks of the season because it's one thing to say, okay, they'll forfeit games for 2 weeks until they can get back and get healthy. But you're in a 60 game season. You lose 2 weeks worth of games, you're done. You're out. What's the point of continuing to
Right.
play?
And they're playing games like, I mean, I know they always play games. It's like every day, every other day, but I think they're playing like 2 games a day sometimes too, right?
I don't know if anybody. I don't know about double headers. I have to look at the schedule, but the schedule is super concise. It's like 60 games
Exactly.
in like
Right.
60 days or 70 days,
Right.
whatever it is, 75 days. There's not a lot of off days in baseball usually.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I guess they're trying to make people feel some kind of normalcy with sports, baseball,
Yes,
America's game.
yes.
Um,
It's also big business. It's also big money. The thing that a
yeah.
lot of people don't really understand about sports these days are, yes, your ticket costs a lot of money and it's like $400 for a family of four to go to a game, but the gate, as they call it, is such a low end of revenue in sports these days. It's about that TV money and that ad revenue because people aren't watching regular TV anymore, but they're watching
Right.
live television. So
Right.
advertisers are paying premiums to be on sporting events because if not, what happens? People sit there and they fast forward through something that they've already taped. So the
Right.
value of advertising on regular shows, yeah, everybody, the value of advertising on regular shows has plummeted so much, and sports have become so coveted that that's where all the money is, and that's why you see these huge, $100 million deals, for or 10-year deals, $1 billion, whatever it is for sporting events because they can get that much because they're basically the only game in town anymore.
Right.
Which is
That's
also
it.
why you've seen the rise of the live Broadway shows and, live Three's Company reunions or whatever they're doing, bringing back old TV shows and doing them live. It's because they live brings money in.
Right.
So that's why they're back. They're not, that's why they could care less. None of them have any issues with there being no fans in the stadiums. That does not bring in enough money to justify losing out on the TV money, which is why all these
Right.
sports are going back.
Well, thank you for explaining that to me because I didn't know that.
Was that what you were bringing up? I didn't even realize that you were bringing that up.
I really didn't know.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay. Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
I mean, patriotism and sense of normalcy, I guess so, but it's more like we don't want to turn back a whole pile of cash to ESPN because,
What do we do with this money?
yeah, exactly. Well,
You want it back?
by the way, that's so funny that you say, what do we do with this money? Shit's already spent. Just look at all the contracts of these. This is why you
Exactly.
have guys signing $500 million contracts because all this TV money comes in.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I get that.
So you can't go out there and pay Patrick Mahomes and then not play the games to have that money to pay him because that shit's guaranteed now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen with Major League Baseball, which is a shame because the Yankees were looking really good and definitely on their way to another championship.
Okay.
So we'll see that comes from a suffering Mets fan there, but it's very, very
I was
true.
going to say, I'm a Mets fan, so.
The Mets lost 14-1 or whatever they did the last. I couldn't even watch the game anymore.
Thanks.
I'm so starved for sports, and the Mets still found a way to make me turn off the game in the fifth inning. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, Janine. All right, let's talk about aliens now. This is kind of amazing, this story. And I've long been fascinated with aliens. I think for the most people, everybody is pretty intrigued by the whole alien thing, right?
Definitely.
We continue to get into these odd places of getting closer and closer to figuring things out. But long gone are the days where we're like, oh, there's aliens, and the government's like, oh, you're talking about, and we're
Huh?
like, damn you,
Alien too?
government, yeah. We're like, we know you're hiding it from us, and now we've kind of gone into the point where the government's like, all right, we're gonna tell you some stuff.
We got something to tell you.
Everybody gather around Twitter because we're gonna send some stuff out, and it's gonna be really, really interesting and intriguing to you guys.
Here you go.
And we can thank Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 for starting that stupid Alien Academy thing, whatever he started.
Obviously, he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. Much more profitable in the Finding Alien games than in the, performing.
Blink-182 games.
Yeah. All the small things can't bring in the cash that an Alien video can bring in, as
Definitely
we've learned. So here's what happened. The New York Times put out another piece just 2 days ago that the Pentagon is going to be releasing some information on UFOs. And there's a lot to get into here, so we'll clarify as much as we can. But essentially, the New York Times was pretty instrumental in publishing this piece. I think it was in 2017, and it was kind of the videos that Tom DeLonge, there's like 2 or 3 videos, and we've had them on a previous podcast, where they show some stuff and it's unexplainable. It's basically unexplainable. And, there was a point where I think even the Pentagon or whoever in 17, when the Times finally got down to it, they were like, can you explain this? And they were like, no. And so that was,
sorry, we can't.
That was the story then, because before that, the government was like, it's a weather balloon, or stop making a big deal. There are no aliens. And then at one point they were like, maybe, I don't know.
Not even no, it's, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So now the story is that there was a UFO unit in the Pentagon, part of the Department of Defense, and they supposedly got rid of it. But basically what we know now is that department really just changed names and moved. The U.S. Senate committee report suggests that it expected to make some information public every 6 months. One consultant to the agency briefed the U.S. Defense Department officials of some highly unusual discoveries, including items retrieved from, quote, off-world vehicles not made on this earth.
See?
So that's some pretty exciting shit right there. The reason why this is happening now is basically, from a serious standpoint, we don't know some of the things that we're seeing in the sky. We don't know if it's UFOs or if it's China or Russia or Greece, Italy. We don't know who it is. If it's one of those countries kind of running intel on the United States, and they got some weird fancy new drone that we don't know about, we don't know. So the idea is if we put it out and make it public and share it with other nations and share it with people, perhaps then more will come to light and we'll find out. The pressure will be on these other countries to admit if they're doing something or not, which I don't know if that would necessarily work, but that's their hope.
Right.
Okay, the other thing that I find out that's pretty fascinating is the off-world vehicles not made on this earth, one consultant told the U.S. Defense Department. So that's the really exciting stuff, because have you seen Bob Lazar? Have you heard of Bob Lazar, Janine? No? Okay, probably a lot of people haven't. There's this great Netflix piece on him. Joe Rogan did one of the best Joe Rogan podcasts ever was with Bob Lazar. So Bob Lazar was a scientist, engineer, really smart dude, let's put it like that worked in Area 51, I think up until 1985, I believe. And he got tangled up in something. I can't remember what it was, but eventually they let him go. And so then he kept his mouth shut, I think, because he kind of feared for his life for a long time, because, this is scary.
Right.
Imagine if you were working on alien ships and then you got fired one day and you were like, hey, everybody, I was unfairly fired from my alien ship working job. Nobody
What? No.
Nobody would believe you. And I'm sure there'd be a
Right.
fairly good amount of threats coming from the people that hired you for said alien, job. And that's kind of what this guy went through. And so for the longest time, he basically just kind of lived in hiding. And then some people sought him out to do this documentary. And I think he did it reluctantly. And until including the time he went on Joe Rogan, which I believe was last year in 2019, he didn't really do a lot of public appearances. He did not want to talk about what he had done and what he had seen. What he
Right.
said, and there was a lot of critics on him, like basically like, oh, this guy is kind of wacky and full of shit, and his ex-wife hates him, and she says he's full of shit, and all that kind of stuff, which ex-wives typically do. So do ex-husbands. You never get an ex that's like, who's great? My ex. They're just like an
He
upstanding,
was a
wonderful.
great person.
Yeah, great person. Um, Basically, he said that there was a bunch of alien spacecraft that he worked on.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I have
and
to go
that
look at this podcast too.
it's a really, you know what, I'm going to put in the description on YouTube. So if you're listening or you're watching on Facebook, you'll have to go to the YouTube description. I'll put it in there of the interview. It was really, really fascinating. And he describes in crazy detail the aircraft and what it looked like. And, he said something.
Ooh.
I remember, like, when things stick in your mind, one thing that stuck in my mind, he said there were no right angles on the spacecraft anywhere.
What?
Yeah, like no, like the table was curved and everything was
Oh
curved.
wow, that's cool.
There was no right angles on the ship anywhere, which I found pretty interesting. And he said that, and like really, really, like some things, like I remember there was like one or two things where I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But the way he talks about some of these things is so fascinating and in such detail. And like you'd be like, well, what else was there? And he would be like, I don't know, because I was only assigned to
Right.
this one thing. And he's like, I walked past some other stuff sometimes, and I would like take a peek in. He's like, but you couldn't ask questions. He said they never gave him a lot of information. They only gave him what he needed to know, and even a lot of times, like he would say, he would look at something and they would ask him to break it down, and he would break it down, and he would like produce 200 other questions. Like, okay, well, why is this here? Why does that do this? Why is that? And he'd send it back to them, and then he'd get back like three things, and they'd be like, don't worry about those other things. Just focus on
Huh.
these three things. Like weird shit like that. Really,
Okay.
really weird shit. And everybody thought he was crazy, and a lot of people wrote him off, and a lot of people treated him poorly. I think he had
Oh.
like the IRS up his ass for like 10, 15 years. They kind of
Oh,
like,
geez.
yeah, kind of like had him under investigation and like kind of ruined his life. And there was always like this threat on him, of
Poor
like,
guy.
yeah, like be quiet, don't whatever. And I think for the most part, like he never wanted to be famous. I think he did eventually write a book, which was part of all of this like stuff. Because I think he got to a point where he was like, screw it. But he never, like I asked you who he was. You didn't know. I bet you half the audience doesn't know. He never sought out like this, like, look at me, I'm the alien guy.
Right.
You don't see
Like
him like,
never went to like news and been like, oh, look what I saw.
right. You didn't see him like at the opening of a car dealership dressed like next to the alien costume guy. He's not really out for like to gain. It was kind of more like, hey, this is what happened to me,
Right.
and you should know my story, kind of a deal. So he's a
Oh.
really interesting guy, but I bring him up because you have a guy like that, and you see his story, and you hear him tell his story on Rogan, and nobody believes this guy, and everybody calls him a wacko, and then all of a sudden, like a flick of a switch, turns out
He's right.
he was right. He wasn't lying, you know. And to this day, like nobody's ever acknowledged it. Like that to me, and this is kind of like secondary, but when you kind of go through a story with somebody and you see what they went through, you got to kind of figure at some point somebody should like at the very least offer up a public apology to the guy.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Like, sorry, you were right all those years.
Yeah. And like we had like government guys in suits with glass, like the Men in Black come in like fucking harass you and shit and follow you, and there's strange vehicles outside of your home listening to your conversations and shit like that, and you know.
Um,
His story
One
is
of
a
the best.
crazy one. Yeah, I'll link Rogan's thing just so everybody can see it. And finally, to wrap it all up today, this
That's what
couple
she said.
in what?
That's what she said.
This couple in Minnesota went to. Today is the first day of mandatory masks in Minnesota, and so to show their love and appreciation for the mandatory masks, they showed up at the Walmart in Minnesota wearing swastika masks. There's the young lady right there. There she is.
Oh,
Couple things about this.
all right. Let's hear it.
There's something wonderful about the American spirit. The American spirit is, oh, you think so? Well, let me tell you.
Let me show you.
Let me show you. That's the American spirit. That same beautiful spirit got us on a boat in Boston Harbor, tossing tea off the side. Like, you don't want to give us representation? All right, let me show you. Right? That's when it's useful. When it's not useful and really stupid is this particular case. It's the same American spirit. It's just wonderful.
The wrong direction.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of the spectrum, like I have to wear masks. Okay, I'm gonna wear a swastika mask. It's like, well, that's not really.
But did you see her reasoning?
What was her reasoning?
She's wearing a mask, a Nazi mask, because she says she doesn't want Joe Biden to be president because then it'll be like a socialist America.
Right.
Like a Nazi America.
Right.
So she's wearing a swastika mask. That makes sense. All you have to say is one thing about the story. Walmart. That's it.
Well, see,
explains everything.
My thing is Minnesota. Because try pulling that shit in Brooklyn.
Oh, no.
Like, I understand you're like, oh, you're going to make me do this? Well, then you'll see. Well, that's in Minnesota. Where, by the way, in this area of Minnesota, Marshall, from what I understand, population 15,000.
Oh, okay.
Try doing that in Brooklyn where there's 15,000 people living in one block and see how far you get wearing that shit.
Exactly.
Try pull that in the Bronx because you would not.
Just dumb.
Yeah, you wouldn't make it out of the parking lot.
No.
So you flexing your muscle, but you're doing it in maybe the safest space you could probably think of doing it in.
Right. Just the explanation is so dumb.
It's really, really dumb. And also, it's just this anti-mask thing, which is like, it's still just not that big of a deal to put a mask on.
Right.
And although, like, you know, and it's crazy, like I love a good American spirit, like I'll show you, but there's a difference between I'll show you, like, without, you know, taxation, without representation. There's a big difference, which is, you know, gold standard of American spirit, to, you know, like this just illustrates
how dumb we are as a society.
Not how dumb we are as a society, but how good things really are. You know, like the American spirit shows through and is so great in the Boston Tea Party moment because you're fighting for your life.
Right.
You know, things are we're like, okay, granted, we're trying to stop a pandemic, yes, but things are so great now that you could pull this shit. Like when in March, when we shut down the country, you didn't see this shit. No. Right? When everybody thought we were all going to die, you didn't see any of this.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Times are good now. Things are opening back up. Yes, cases are surging. People are still dying. For the most part, we're figuring out how to overcome this global pandemic and still live in society. We're kind of getting there, right? For the most part. Things are good.
It's true. So you're saying that I could wear my mask that has multiple penises on it.
I mean, if you want to.
Okay.
It's going to be quite the thing at the PTA meeting or, you know, at your kid's little league game or at the dance recital, but you can.
They'll probably. That's just Janine.
But it's that
We
thing.
figured that.
It's that thing of like, yes, we have these freedoms to do it, but you don't have to take it there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Like, yeah, can you do this? You sure can. But should you?
No.
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 Shouldn't do that. And there's no need in 2020 to prove that point.
2020.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree with you.
There's no need. Like, and again, you flex that muscle in Marshall, Minnesota. Try pulling that shit in Chicago or Brooklyn, or
no,
you wouldn't dare do it because you know somebody's going to bloody your stupid face in the parking lot like you so obviously deserve.
I think even on Long Island.
Even on Long Island. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
God, people,
and
humans.
And, seriously, and like that idea of like what you're going through right now, like this is what drives me crazy. And I've long had this complaint.
Oh.
I don't love it when people go, "Oh, that person's a Nazi," or you're a Hitler. I have a little bit of a sensitivity to that. For no other, I do.
Is it because you're a Nazi? No, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's like you're basically talking about top number one worst thing we've kind of, like there's very few things on that list, and that's very high up there.
Okay.
Horrible things.
So you're a little sensitive to that. Okay.
We've done as a human. Yeah, a little sensitive. Like as soon as somebody gets like a little weird or out of hand, they're like, "Oh, this guy's a Nazi." It's like, no, Nazis were really bad people. I'm sure whatever piece of shit you're pointing out sucks too, but like the Nazis did horrific things.
Right.
For this couple to take that and be like, what I'm being forced to do here is so horrible. They're forcing me to throw away my American freedoms and wear a mask. So I must take this now symbol of this movement that literally gassed millions of people and ended their lives. And I'm going to wear it out in public to prove my point. It's like,
makes no sense.
Karen, easy. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have, like you said, you could have worn a mask full of penises and made the same point and not offended an entire race of people. You know what I mean?
I'm still going to wear the mask.
I'm okay with you wearing the mask. I'm uncomfortable with you sending me and my wife the masks, trying to get us to wear it with you. That's where I wish you would stop.
All right, I'll stop.
When we went to your house and you hand out party favors and in the bag on the bottom is a big penis mask, that's where I get a little uncomfortable, if I'm going to be totally honest with you.
All right, I'll stop. I have a problem.
That's just me. Where's the vagina masks? That's what I want to know, Janine. Why are you so one-sided?
It's true.
And also, why are all the penises circumcised? That's my favorite joke. That's one of my favorite jokes from The Office.
I know. I love that show.
When Robert California comes in, he goes, "You know how people doodle?" He's like, some people draw things. He's like, I make lists. He's like, and some people just doodle. They draw penises or wait, no, is this The Office or is this Superbad? I can't remember now.
It's Superbad.
Is it Superbad? Somebody makes the joke.
When he has that problem of drawing penises all over.
No,
I also have that problem.
I could see that. That I could see. But who was it? I think it was Robert California who said the penises are always circumcised and the homes are always colonials.
Yes. Oh, God.
Oh, shit. Which is very.
And it's like when he was like a young kid drawing a big penis. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a funny scene, too. And he's like, I'm finishing up this huge veiny one.
Oh, God.
All right. I think we helped the world on a lot of their issues today.
I think so, too.
Yeah. I think we really got a lot accomplished. I'm curious to see what's going to happen to this. Well, nothing's going to happen to this Minnesota couple, but I'm curious to see if they ever get theirs, because that'll be a story we'll cover for sure.
I hope so.
Curious to see what happens with the Miami Marlins and what's going to happen. What's Tom DeLonge's next big alien discovery that's going to send us
I'll discover
all?
something with him.
It's always something with him.
Oh, I said I'll discover something.
Never.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. All right, we'll leave it there, Janine. And then we're keeping our eye on the Ghislaine thing. Obviously, our last couple of podcasts went pretty viral, so we're not abandoning that altogether. We're just there's no news. We're not going to talk about it.
Right.
So if there's anything that pops there, we'll get to it. I want to congratulate you on giving up drugs and taking a shower today. That was nice of you to do that.
Thank you so much. Over the weekend, I became sober. No more meth for me.
How was your first weekend going viral and reading all the comments incessantly? How was it for you?
It's pretty funny, actually.
You were still going late last night, from what I understand. Still reading it.
I was.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like my brother said, it's so sad that these people, like it's depressing that these people would actually take the time out and comment nasty things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
So that is a little sad.
It is. It's very
and
sad.
Also, I fixed my lighting.
They're going to be like, now that she fixed her lighting, we could see how big of a crackhead she is.
Yeah, exactly. Those dark circles.
It's even more obvious.
And no making faces. Can't make faces in this world.
It'd have been funny if you went the whole podcast looking like Mona Lisa, like.
Yes, Anthony.
I will say, and I'm being truthful here.
Okay.
There was a pretty sizable amount of people that came to your defense in the comments and said really lovely things about you.
I think you're being nice right now.
No.
I didn't see them.
No, come on.
I saw some.
I saw the one that I sent one to you. That lady was super nice.
No, she was nice.
In fact, she was so nice. I'd like to shout her. There was a couple though. I feel bad shouting out just like the one. But what was her name? I think it was like Annie or something. Annie, yeah. Annie called you gorgeous. That was quite lovely.
Oh.
She did not have to do that.
No, she didn't. See, now she took time of her life to send me a positive comment. That's a nice person.
Yeah. That's the thing with the comments. The negative ones are a dime a dozen and useless and stupid. There are a couple in there that are nice. And that's not to say just the nice comments are good and the bad comments are bad. But for the most part, somebody takes their time out to say, hey, I appreciate that. That is worth a lot because it's not in our nature to do that necessarily,
No, it's true.
It's really not.
Humans.
But
maybe it was the aliens writing nice comments.
Could be. Could be. And we'll keep our eye on that for sure. All right. Anything else? Last words there, Janine?
Famous last words. No, I'm good.
You good?
Play ball.
We gonna. By the way, I'm working on shirts. Have been for a while. They've been in the pipeline for a while. The cute butthole, but I'm not interested shirt. Having a little trouble getting that design down. I got to be honest with you.
I'll help you.
Didn't come as easy as some of the other ones.
That's what she said.
All right, we'll leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your time. Thanks so much for making it this far in the podcast. AnthonyOnAir.com has all our links and info. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Thumbs up and share this on Facebook or YouTube. And remember to subscribe on YouTube so that when we do put out another episode, you'll be the first to know about it.